Hello, everyone. My name is Raven, and welcome to Raven Gaming Labs, and welcome to my Gimp tutorial series. In this tutorial, we're going to be creating a medieval house texture set, and these tutorials are going to be obviously done in Gimp, as the title suggests, but also for anyone that's making like retro art, like for the PS1, PS2 style, N64, the Xbox, the original Xbox, and so forth. Or even just mid 2000 style. So if anybody remembers that, in other words, long before PBR became a thing. And so all the textures that we will be using in this tutorial, except for some that I'll be using for Imperfections, are down below in the description as well. I went on ahead and linked all of the texture sites that I know of. If anyone knows of any others, feel free to send them to me. That contain quote-unquote free textures or royalty-free textures. Unfortunately, textures.com is no longer free, but there you go. So we're going to be using this Plaster Gray, and we're going to be using this Dark Wood specifically for this plank right here. And we're going to be using this Broken Wall for the foundation. And I also went on ahead and just linked. So this is Ambient CG, and all of these are various types of imperfections. And there are other places with imperfections, and you can also make your own. And I would like to eventually, if this series proves popular, I would like to, add some more at a later date. And the other thing is we need a reference of some kind. So I went on ahead and went to start page and searched for medieval houses. There were a whole bunch in here. A lot of them are really built up off the ground, especially like, this one or this image or this image, they're actually quite built quite a bit. But this one is, okay, the cage cannot be found. I just don't believe that. Right, there we go. Okay, can I just open up that image? Okay, I can. Perfect. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's more of like the old cob style houses. So they're built on top of a stone foundation, and then you have the wood support beams and the like, which is pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is we are going to go, I don't know why I'm trying to go there. We're going to go to Gimp. And I went on ahead and downloaded all of these textures. So I just went over here, hit the little hamburger menu, and I grabbed the AO, the diffuse, and the displacement. I'm not sure if we're going to use the displacement, but I went ahead and grabbed it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our plaster, because this is going to be for, our actual image here. And I'm also going to throw in the gray, which is for the AO, and I'm going to set it to multiply. And we're just going to lower the opacity because that is a little ridiculous. Like not only, let's see. Yeah, it makes it darker, but it also affects the shadowing a little bit, but mostly it just makes it darker. I'm going to set that to 30, just a good old solid 30. And now what we want to do is I kind of want this to pop out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge down. I know my watermark is kind of in the way there, but I'm just going to right click and merge down. And then I'm just going to call this plaster wall. You can call it whatever you like. And I'm going to right click filters, map, bump map. Now we could use the displacement, but I'm going to see what this looks like just using the straight up plaster. Technically, this is not a proper bump map, but if it works, it works. And it actually does. It brought out quite a bit of the detail there. Awesome. So we kind of have to decide quite a bit here. So let's go ahead and move this over. So we have your auxiliary input. This is what is actually English. That defines what the bump map is. This is the source. And in this case, we're literally using our plaster wall. And then there's different types, linear, spherical, sinusoidal. And just change these depending on whatever you like and whatever you're going for. One thing I can't stress enough about, this tutorial or any of the others or just making your own art in general, just play with it, figure it out, and practice makes perfect. It truly does. So the azimuth is the light direction. And I want it coming straight from the top. So I'm going to set it, actually, I want it 270. I want the light coming straight down. And we can zoom in. You can use the middle mouse button if you don't know GIMP to pan around and control to zoom in. And we can look at the preview. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. I'm actually going to go to image, scale image, and I'm actually going to scale this down before I do the bump map. Let's do no halo and scale. And then we're going to re-show the bump map. Select our plaster wall. We'll set this to 270. I'm going to use, and so do I kind of like that look a little better. Okay, and so elevation affects the zenith of the light, essentially. And so an easier way to look at it is if this is at 90, it has very little effect on the image at all. It's, it's pretty much the same whether I have it on or off. And if it's 0, this is, I guess another way to look at it's like the strength of it. I think maybe 55 might do. Yeah. And we can adjust the depth, which I guess in another way is also a way to factor in the strength of it. I don't want it to be too crazy though, because subtlety is more important. Another thing you can also do is you can use the ambient light factor to kind of wash it out some. However, if it's set to 1, it kind of just washes out all of the shadows. It depends on whether or not you want the shadows. So right now, you'll notice there's a bit of shading here. If we adjust the ambient lighting, probably a little easier to see if, it probably helps if we turn the preview on. So I'm going to leave it at default simply because we want that shadowing in there. Okay, and we're going to hit OK. And now what we're going to do is go to File, Open, and go to Documents, Textures, pretty much wherever you stored, the textures that we downloaded. And we're going to start with the broken wall. So we're going to grab the broken wall, and I'm going to go on ahead and just image, scale it. But actually, you know what? Let's wait just a moment, and I'm going to throw the AO image in there. And you want to make sure that it's completely lined up properly, which it should be, but definitely double check. And the AO is a little rough. So as I explained earlier, these are materials and textures that are meant for PBR. And so they don't have, PBR textures have albedos instead of diffuse. And so most of the lighting data is pretty much gone. It's just the color data, which is fine because in PBR, all the textures combined, makes a realistic texture. But in our case, that's a bit of a downer. I'm going to set that to 30. I'm just going to kind of go up ever so slightly. Yeah, it looks a little better. Okay, and now we're just going to merge it down. And we're going to go to Image, Scale Image, set it to 512 for both of them, and scale it. And now we're going to go Filters, Reshow Bump Map. And we're going to go down here, and we're going to select the last preset, because we want this to be identical. But we do want the auxiliary input to be our broken wall. And yeah, it looks pretty good. I might lower it just a little bit, or maybe increase the elevation. Maybe I'll set the elevation to 60 or 65. Yeah, it gives it a little bit of extra of a pop. And then what we'll do is we'll do a Control-A, Control-C to copy it to the clipboard. And we'll just paste it in there. And we're going to call this Rock Foundation. If I can spell, that would be nice. And we're going to hit M to select the Move tool, or you can select it here. And then we're just going to select our layer in here. We're going to hold Shift and then press down on the arrow key. So when you use Shift, based on your zoom distance, will affect how much you actually zoom. And now we just kind of need to decide how tall of a foundation. I don't want a very tall foundational wall. So I'm just going to kind of... Yeah, that seems okay to me. Now there is a bit of a sharp cutoff there, but that's okay. Yeah, that'll be okay. All right, so now we're going to open up our wood planks. And we're just going to throw in our AO. and we're going to set it to multiply. And this is one of the rare ones where I'm actually going to leave it. Actually, I'll just set it at 80%, just maybe 75, just darken it a little bit. Merge it down, and then image, scale image, 512. Scale it, awesome. And same thing, we're going to reshow our bump map. And actually, you know what? For this one, no, we're not going to do it for this one. And there's a reason why we're not going to do it for this one. Well, no, I think it'll be okay. It'll be okay. We'll do it for this. So I was kind of thinking we could affect the light direction, based on where the planks are. But I don't think it'll matter too much. So we'll save it for later. And now what we want to do is we just kind of want to, we selected our crop tool, which is what this is. And you want to have it delete crop pixels and set the highlight. And we only have one layer, so current layer on, layer only doesn't need to be on. You could turn it on though if you like. And try not to grab the darkened parts there. And there we go. So now we have our board, and it's 512 by 54. That should be fine. Okay, and we'll just throw that in there, and we'll put this above our rock foundation. Or maybe below our rock foundation. I'm not really sure. We might play with this later. All right. I'm going to right click and I'm going to set it to layer to image size. This will be useful for later. Actually, I'll leave it as is for now. And what we're going to do now is just move this down to here. So we want it to rest right on top, just like that. And we want to right click and then set it to, actually, no, we'll just leave it as is for now. Yeah, this is fine. Okay, so we're going to do wood beam dash bottom. And we're going to right click filters, reshow bump map. We're going to once again select the last option that we had. Actually, let's do the other option. So that one was, I think, yeah, that's fine. And we're just going to go into here, which this right here is our main texture that we're working off of. And we're just going to select the beam. And I'm going to try linear. Actually, I think I'm going to... I'm going to delete that. I'm just going to do it manually in here. Let's redo that or undo that and then select that and then select our wood beam. I think I'll just, yeah, there we go. I'll just raise up the depth. Maybe not that high. Let's do 7. Let's also try linear there. Yeah, that looks okay. So, oh yeah, that looks fine. We get a little bit of depth and so forth. And now what we're going to do is we're going to right click it and duplicate the layer and then go to layer, transform. We're going to rotate it. Actually, you know what? We're not going to do that. What we are going to do is grab this and then we're going to paste it in here. And we're going to make a new layer. We're going to call this wood beam left. And we're going to do it again. Layer, transform, rotate counterclockwise. And make sure I select our move tool. And we're just going to move it over here to where it's equal. There we go. And before we actually, let's set it to 100% and then hold shift and then left click once. And then we will do filters, reshow bump map. The used, make sure we set it to the wood beam there. And we're going to change the light direction to coming from the side. from this way. Trying to give it a little bit more definition and help break it up a little bit so it doesn't, everything doesn't look all the same. Okay. And we're just going to paste in the other wood beam there. And we'll just bring this up and we'll call this wood beam right. And we're pretty much going to do the exact same thing. Layer, transform, rotate counterclockwise, select our move tool, move it over. And then set our scale down here back to 100%. Hold shift, right click, or right arrow. And then we'll just do right click filters, reshow bump map. So for this time, we're going to select our right beam and we're going to set it to 0. So I'll have the light coming from this way or in this direction. And that actually looks pretty good. I know it doesn't look like much at the moment, but we're gonna start making it actually look decent. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the bottom wood beam, and we are going to duplicate the layer and move it under, and we're gonna call this shadow. And we're gonna right click and layer to image size, and then right click alpha to selection. We need to do this so we can create our shadow. And our shadow will really help bring it all together. Now you could use a drop shadow, but I'm not really the biggest fan of doing it that way. So I have a slightly different way of doing it. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to select, grow, and we're going to grow it by 10 in this case. And then we're going to go to select feather. And then when you set the feather to whatever we want, I'm going to try 30 for this. And then we are going to select our bucket fill. And we're just going to select this here. And now we're going to make this black. And we're just going to click it in there. And that actually looks pretty good. But we are going to change it to multiply. And then we will just select our Control-Shift-A to deselect. And you can kind of see what that looks like. And this kind of looks like the... it's hanging over. And it's kind of up to you on how you want to do this part. What you could do is you could select a new... Yeah, we could do a duplicate layer and then move it down and then right click alpha to selection, select and grow by 10. I'm just going to see what this looks like if we decide to do this. Actually, that didn't work. I know why that didn't work because hang on. Well, we already know that this is the size. So let's just do layer to image size. Hang on. Need to make sure that Control-Shift-A. Right. Got a little confused there, but yeah, because it's the foundation is, or the shadow is under that. Yeah, and now we'll set it to multiply. Yeah, that'll kind of interfere. I'm not really going to worry about that. I'm just going to delete that. It's totally fine. And the rock foundation can stay where it is. But let's finish up the shadows really quick. So wood beam, right click, duplicate layer. And like I said, I've said a couple times now, don't be afraid to just try something, see what it looks like. It's kind of part of the process. Layer to image size. And then right click alpha to selection, select, grow, select feather. And that creates, like I said, a really good, inner shadow. And you'll see what this looks like in just a second. And then we'll grab our wood beam. Another thing I should mention is this style of textures is not really meant for, well, I guess you could use it with normal maps, but this is not really meant for normal maps. So if you were going to do this with a normal map, you'd want to do it differently. And I think I'll do like a whole separate tutorial for that. And let's see, what do we want to do here? Same as before, alpha to selection. And, well, duplicate layer, move it down, rename it. I'm hitting F2 in order to do that, by the way, if you guys don't know that trick. And then right click, layered image size, grow, feather, and then paste. Or not paste, bucket fill, which is what we're using over here. Okay, and then we'll do Control-Shift-A, and the first thing you'll notice is it does look a little better and a lot more realistic, except for this part right here, but this is a very, very easy fix. So what we're going to do is we're going to right-click on Wood Beam Bottom, Alpha to Selection, grab our shadow, and then hit Delete, and then grab the left shadow, and delete that, and then we'll do a Control-Shift-A to deselect everything. And let's do 100% there. Yeah, looks a whole lot better. You know, we actually have, you know, like there's some actual shadows there. And one thing we could do is also we need to make sure all these shadows are set to multiply. But let's just say like our shadows feel a little aggressive. We could set them to 80. And then they're not nearly as aggressive. That looks pretty good. You know, it's subtle. It's just a little bit of subtlety. But I feel like 80 is not nearly enough. So I'm gonna crank it back up to 90. Whoops. Now, the other thing that needs to be fixed is this foundation. So I am going to select this foundation. I'm going to duplicate the layer. I'm going to set the layer to image size. Then move it down, and do alpha to selection, and then I'm going to go up to layer, crop to selection here, because I don't actually want this image, because it'll affect your source size, having all of these, you know, the size. So one thing you could do if you really wanted to lower the file size of your, you know, the Gimp native save, is you can go through here and crop all of these once you're done. But we don't need to do that. But what we do need to do is put this over top the rock foundation, and then I'm gonna just call it rock foundation dim, and we'll set it to multiply. And don't be afraid to try like different you know, different modes for all of this. Yeah, solid black is definitely not the answer there. Let's try like a dark gray. Yeah, there we go. It might be a little too dark. Let's go a little brighter. Yeah, there we go. And let me just do Control-Shift. Nope, sorry. Yeah, there we go. That looks much, much, much better. And it does kind of, you know, like these parts here, they do have a bit of a seam, but that's fine because they're, you know, they're separate pieces. But one thing we really need to do now is we need to get some imperfections. So there's a bunch of different imperfections. Feel free to find your own, make your own, pretty much however you want to do it. But I already have some textures that I have that unfortunately I can't share because they are from textures.com, but I'm just going to show you anyway for what they look like. And I found the folder here, imperfections, and I'm going to grab this beautiful dirt and I'm going to put it at the top. So it's over top of everything. Now, when you get these textures, they're usually grayscale, and it's just a mess, right? Like this looks terrible. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it to multiply, and then we're going to go to layer, transparency, color to alpha, and we want it to be the white. We want to get rid of all the white, just keep the black, and we want to crank up the transparency threshold. I think in this case, like almost 0.9 will do. And we'll hit OK. And then we will just lower the multiply quite a bit. And you can see that now there's a lot of dirt all over the place. It's got a lot more shadows. And that's pretty much it. And what you could do is you could add an overlay for like scratches and scuffs and smears. And, you know, you could position it properly so like it only affects certain parts. So, for example, let's add some moss to this. I don't really have any good moss though, but so this may not work properly, but we're going to give it a try. So the first thing we're going to do is going to layer here, we're going to scale it way down. So it's a no halo and scale. And then I only want this affecting the foundation. I just want the moss affecting just the foundation. We're going to put it under the dim. Right, it would affect the plaster wall, wouldn't it? Well, that's okay, because we can fix that. So we're going to do alpha to selection, select our moss, and then we're going to go up here, and we're going to say select, invert, and then we're going to delete that. No, wait, layer, right-click, add an alpha channel, delete that again. Perfect. And so now we have this beautiful, ugly, and we're going to add it as an overlay, maybe. Soft light, multiply, definitely not. We could do a normal, though. And now what we just need to do is we just need to kind of, we're going to do alpha to selection here. We just need to erase this in a sort of random kind of manner. And I don't really think I have a good brush for this. And also that is a little harsh. Oops. So I'm going to apply a jitter. And I'm going to set the hardness down to 50. Okay, I have to have the hardness at 100, of course. Maybe adjust the force. Yeah, there we go. Let's set it to 30. Now, the only problem with doing it this way, and what I might do is just undo it, is it will affect the seams on the edge. So I'm just going to delete that, because as nice and as much as it would add, I just feel like it would kind of get messy. So I'll just save that for a more advanced tutorial when I actually am spending the entire video on that, because we're almost at the half-hour mark anyway. So I'm just going to export this, Control-Shift-E, and I'm just going to call this medieval. Oh, I already have it. That's right, because I made like a little test thing there. And _D for diffuse, and we're just going to export this. And I'm going to use RGB for the format because we don't want an alpha channel. So that'll just remove the alpha channel. And now I'm just going to open up Blender. Now what we probably should do is use like an old version of Blender, because new version of Blender is entirely PBR based. And so it's not going to necessarily look right, but we can get it to look right. So let me do that again. I get ahead of myself sometimes. So we're going to do Shift A, Mesh, Plane, S, and then hit 3 to scale it up by 3. And then Control A, and then I'm just going to do scale because that's all we changed. And then RX 90, so we actually get a wall there. And the reason we reset the scale is so our UV coordinates are not crazy. Then we're going to hit Tab, and then U, and then reset. So now our coordinates are reset, and then we're going to hit G, Z, and then hold Control, and then just move it up 3 so it's center. You know, it's actually the bottoms on that the X line there. And now we're going to go to Materials and hit New. And then for base color, we're going to select an image texture and then Open. And then we're going to go to Documents, Textures. And I guess we could have left this on, and then we can see all of our textures. So you can have the list view or icon view. And we're going to select our wall. And then we're going to hold Z and then go to Material Preview. And now you can see we have our medieval wall there. And we're going to set the roughness to 1 and the specular to 0. And that'll get it about as close as you can really, you know, honestly, about as close as you can really get it. And then we're going to do a Shift D and then hit X to lock it on the X axis. And then we're just going to move it over. And there you have it. And as you can see, it's a seamless blend. And we do have our wall. Everything is completely seamless. And you can just adjust everything to your liking. And there you go. So there you have it. You now have created a texture. You know, a tileable texture. It obviously can't, you know, you can't go up with it because that just looks weird. And you will need a cap for the corners. Potentially. I don't know. Let's see really quick. I mean, I've already... Whoops. Well, I guess I can do it that way. Go to wireframe view so I can actually see what I'm doing here. No, you don't need a cap. It's perfectly fine. And there you go. You can pretty much just copy it around, and I mean, there you go. So thank you all for watching. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to join the Discord. And the next video in this series, we'll be making the next part and then more variation pieces. We're not going to make everything, but you should be able to make everything. In fact, from here, you can pretty much make everything yourself. And we're going to use this texture. Get out of that. We're going to use this texture here to actually, make the final piece. So once again, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, be sure to hit that bell so you actually get updates on when new videos and all are coming out. And as well, if you'd like to support this channel, get early access to videos, there's a members only button down below. It's the big join button right next to the subscribe button, as well as a link in the description. And you get access to a members only area in Discord. And I will see you all in the next one. You guys have a good one. Hey everyone, thanks for watching Raven Gaming Labs. Thanks to all the members and viewers who make RGL possible. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell so that you can be notified. If you want to become a member, hit the join button or link in the description below. Members get early access to videos, member-exclusive content, and more. As well, don't forget to join our awesome community over at Discord. Y'all have a good one.